I angered the soap gods by saying that I had made perfect soap with my last batch, and so soap karma came and got me, and everything that could possibly go wrong with soap went wrong for me, pretty much. It has been a little bit of a discouraging chunk of time here for soap for me. I was all excited to make my first milk soap, and when I mixed the lye and the milk together, even though I was super careful, I don't know what happened. The milk separated into like curds and whey, basically, so I don't know if I got it too hot or if that was just the fat saponifying, but you know, it was a bit of a mess, and so because of that, I changed course once I had the lye, and then the soap that I made, once it was finished, I actually ended up getting dreaded orange spots, DOS, on one of my pieces of soap, and this was one of the few ones that was white, so this is the one where I would have seen it, so it means, you know, I could be having issues with that entire batch. But another thing that happened was the batter thickened way quicker than any of my other soap has done. And you know, like I was like, oh, maybe that's just what milk soap does. But after making that batch, I went to try to use this black embossed soap that I did for the first time, and it was super drying. I started doing pH tests on it, and it was okay for the pH, but the more I looked at it, the more I tried to figure out why it wasn't feeling nice on my skin like a couple of the other older bars that I'd tried. It seemed like maybe I have lye pockets in all of these bars. Lye pockets are when you have either the lye liquid didn't get fully blended in with the oils, and then so you have pockets of, you know, like the lye liquid, or what I think is happening in my case is my lye wasn't fully dissolved when I stirred it in. So the soap isn't saying that it's lye heavy, but when I go to wash with it, I'm opening up these bubbles that have tiny little lye crystals inside of it, and then that's drying my hands out. I don't 100% know if that is what is going on here, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. So what I actually did is I hand milled or rebatched the soap, and I did it up into like a whipped soap, so it's a floating soap, and I added a ton more oil and I added a ton more liquid to it so that it could kind of cook through and dissolve some of those lye pockets if that's what's going on. So I made up this, and I'm excited. This turned out quite well. I'm happy with this, but I found, for me personally, this soap is still drying on my hands. My kids don't have any issues with it, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have really dry skin and my hands are sensitive anyways, so it could be even that the charcoal is the issue. And the other thing is, this was the first batch that I used salt in to harden up the batter, and it could be that the inside the pockets, what I think are lye crystals, could just be not dissolved salt crystals. Like, I can't remember if I put the salt in after I'd made the lye solution, which, you know, then the salt wouldn't fully dissolve in, so it could be that, but I have concerns. I don't want to give anyone lye burns, and so yeah, this is a really big discouragement for me. The dreaded orange spots, you know, this recipe that I made up had 40% canola oil in it, so, you know, that that is a risk that I knew I was taking when I made this soap, to get the rancid spots. So I'm not gonna like cry over this, and you know, like, I'd probably still use this anyways. I just use this as quickly as possible because it still smells fine. The soap doesn't smell bad, but yeah, this isn't something I'm gonna want to keep on the shelf for a year, basically. So if you want to feel better about your soap making, here's my disaster. So we can go ahead and call this soap video Serena is Ridiculous, because what is going on here is I decided that I was going to try doing a milk soap, and I had some milk in the freezer, conveniently, so I was going to use that, and then
I made up it was like half milk, half water, and I made it up and I put it outside and I slowly added in my lye. And then when I, about halfway through adding in the lye, it basically had curdled. And I went online and people were saying that if the milk's curdled, basically you'd added it too quickly, it's going to be burnt, it's going to smell bad. But my milk doesn't smell bad. And so I'm wondering if it's just saponified the milk fats in there. So I decided I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make soap anyways, but the recipe that I was gonna use had some really nice oils in it. I was gonna make a gentle sensitive skin soap for me with my first milk soap, and I didn't want to do that in case this is gonna not turn out well. I don't want to waste those oils that were expensive, so instead I hopped onto the soap calculator and I decided to make up a recipe using my cheap oils and to, you know, give another try at coming up with a cheap oil recipe that I'm gonna like. And then basically I just played with the amounts in the formula until I got to the amount of lye that is in this lye water. So do not do this at home. This is not smart, and I'm not guaranteeing that this is going to work out. I gave a really good buffer. I gave like a 12% super fat, which means just that there's going to be more oils than lye, so that should give me enough of a buffer that if I wasn't super accurate on my calculations, which, I mean, soapcalc.net is doing the calculations, so I don't see how I could have messed it up, but just in case, I shouldn't burn myself with this soap. But yeah, so all of this stuff is at room temperature, so I have a risk here of getting false trace because my oils are so cold, and then also it's gonna move fairly slowly. And what I'm gonna do with this stuff is I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of random little things to use as embeds and just kind of have little stuff that I can use to work on my other soaps in case this doesn't work out. And if it does work out, then, you know, I just have some fun stuff to play with. So that is my plan. here's all the little mini soaps that I got. And I got them unmolded. So you can see these flamingos, they turned out really cute. And I'm pretty happy with these little flowers as well. They really show a lot of the details, and it's kind of fun how the colors just kind of swirled together. And then here's some of the hearts. On these little soaps, I'd used this mold before and had good luck getting the soaps to pop out, but this time when I went to try to pop it out, it made this sticky mess and it didn't want to come out of the mold. So my plan is on these, I'm gonna actually just cure them inside this mold, and then once they're kind of more dried out, maybe hopefully I can get them to detach from the plastic. But yeah, I mean, you want to use maybe a little firmer of a recipe if you're going to be using a plastic mold like this, but I don't mind if I rip this apart because this is just a piece of recycling anyways. So I'm happy with the molds, even though I'm not necessarily happy with this soap. Here is this cheese bar here is just a blank piece that I poured that I was gonna kind of mold into the eggs, but it actually ended up getting, you can kind of see there's a little bit of orange spots on the top, and it was a lot more clear when I'd kind of, the first couple days after pouring this soap, that what I ended up getting was these dreaded orange spots. Like these ones are pretty clear up here still, but then it's kind of gotten ashy on the surface and it's covered it up. I've been waiting on this to see, I've been waiting to see if I'm gonna get any dreaded orange spots on the smooth part of the bar, but so far nothing. But that means that maybe this recipe that I made up is not an ideal recipe.